Hello, in this video, you'll learn what's new in Livebook 0.7. We'll talk about the three main new features: secret management, visual representations of the running system, and interactive UI to visualize and edit Elixir pipelines. And after that, I'll also show a few other notable features and improvements that come with Livebook 0.7. Let's go. Let's start talking about secrets management. Let's say that we want to connect to an API. I'm gonna paste the code here, and this is using that username and password to connect to this API endpoint, and it works. But there's a problem here. We know that we should not hard code passwords in our code base. So what should we do? Livebook has this new feature called secrets. You can go here in the sidebar and create a new secret. We're going to extract that username to a new secret. So the name is going to be API username, and the value is going to be Postman. You can save in the session or in the Livebook app. So I'm going to save this in the Livebook app. And now I can share that secret with this notebook. The way that I can use that secret is I can get it from using this. And Livebook adds LB namespace to the secret, so I need to add this and then the secret name. So API username, and it should work. Oops, that one. Yeah, it works. And now I could also extract that to another secret. I'm gonna call API password. And when I run this, notice the Livebook will automatically detect that I'm trying to use that API password secret, but it is not created. So Livebook asks me to create the secret. I can go here, add secret, it fill in the name for us, and then I can set the value, edit, share with the session, reveal again, and boom, it works. That new secrets feature is also integrated with Livebook Smart Cells. So when I try to create a database connection smart cell, Livebook will use the secret feature for the password field. So when I click here in the password field, Livebook will ask me to choose one of the secrets that I have already created before, or I can create a new one. Now let's talk about that other feature, visual representations of the running system. Let's say you're learning about message passing in Elixir, and you're reading that code of two processes sending message to each other. You're trying to reason about the code and to understand exactly how it's working. You can use Livebook to render a visual representation of processes sending message to each other. You can do that by using that function called keynote.process.render seek trace, and wrap your code into this function and run the cell. And Livebook's going to render how exactly those two processes are sending messages to each other. And now we can understand a little bit more how that's working. Now let's take a look at another example. Let's take a look at an example of visualizing more than two processes exchanging messages. Let's say that we want to understand how task async stream works. So let's say that we want to use task to spawn 4 different processes and want to see how it's they're sending messages to each other. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy and paste that code here. and evaluate that cell. And there, you can see how it works. It looks like there's a parent process that starts, a process going to orchestrate the message to the other four tasks that are being initialized. Besides handling message passing, Livebook can also handle a supervision tree. Let's see how that works. Let's start a supervision tree with two children. Okay, in order to visualize that supervision tree, we can pass its PID to the to this function. So I'm gonna call kino.process.handler sub tree and pass the supervisor PID. And here it is. Kino is rendering in the supervision tree for us. You don't even need to know that function, because Livebook will automatically show you a supervision tree if your cell returns the PID of a supervisor. So what I can do is I can copy that supervisor PID variable, paste it here, another cell, and when I evaluate that cell, Livebook will show us a tab, two tabs, one with the PID of the supervisor and the supervision tree, because it automatically detected that this cell is returning a PID of a supervisor. We also can use Livebook to handle the supervision tree of an application. So let's say that we want to know which applications are running. So I can do application, loaded applications. And here's the list of all the applications that are running. And let's take a look at this Kino application. So I'm gonna paste its name here with an atom. And Livebook will also automatically detect that this is an application and this is the name of it. And this is the application tree, the supervisor tree that is related to that application. Now, let's take a look at the third main feature from Livebook 0.7, the interactive user interface to visualize and edit Elixir pipelines. So let's take a look at this simple pipeline. Just taking the string and doing some stuff with it. I'm gonna evaluate the cell. And let's say that I want to use DBG to debug that pipeline. I can just call it at the end of the pipeline, reevaluate the cell again, and then Livebook's gonna build this widget for us. And what we can do with it is we can see the result of the pipeline here. So it's taking this string here, Elixir is cool, and the results Elixir pipeline. But it can also enable or disable each step of the pipeline using those toggles. So I can see what each step is doing. So this step's taking this string, Elixir is cool, and then when I apply it, it removes the exclamation point. And the second step splits the string into multiple elements. And the last step is just taking the first element of this list. Now, let's take a look at another example of using DBG inside Livebook. This example is from Ryo Wakabayashi, and here's the URL of his blog post. This is a very cool example because he uses Elixir to process an image and uses Livebook with DBG to debug and play with the pipeline. So what his code is doing is first, he's downloading that image from that URL and just showing the image. So I'm gonna evaluate the cell to see what it's doing. So here's the image. And then he applies this pipeline, which is doing lots of different steps of image processing. Let's take a look at it. So I'm gonna evaluate it, and it's called DBG at the end. So here's the pipeline, and what I can do is I can understand what each step's doing. So first, it's just taking the image and open the image, and then it should apply blur to the image, And there it is. And then do some kind of movement stuff with the image. Okay, it's moving the image, and then some rotation. And I can go back to see what it's doing. And then it's applying this rectangle stuff, probably drawing a rectangle on the image. Yes, here's a rectangle, and then it's drawing an ellipse. Here it is. And what I can do, I can even drag and drop some part of the pipeline to see if it changes the result. So let's say that I want to apply this ellipse before before the movement. So I can put it here, or maybe I want to draw the rectangle before as well. So I can drag and drop that step here, and rectangle is now here. Now, let's take a look at another interesting feature from Livebook 0.7. This new feature is a way to organize the output of your cell in different layouts. The first is a tabs layout. Here's the first example. So let's evaluate that cell. And what we can see is that we are using this Keynote layout tabs function to organize our output into two tabs, a table tab and a raw tab. And this is just Keynote data table, and the raw is just the raw data structure. The second layout is a grid layout. So let's see the example. I'm gonna evaluate that cell. And what you can see is that Livebook is organizing the output of our cell into a grid layout. We are downloading those images from those URLs, looping through it, and then we're calling this layout grid function, passing those images and asking Livebook to organize in 3 columns. We could also do like 2 columns or maybe 4 columns. Now, if you want to play with Livebook, go to livebook.dev, click the install section, download Livebook, and enjoy.